healing tools, and exciting news with Healing Project with Matt and Angelica.
All right, Healing Project, here we are.
Yes.
Welcome, everybody.
Yeah, so episode 4.
Yes.
Yeah, so today we're grateful that you're here, and this week we're kind of taking a little bit of a step back. Last week was really heavy with grief.
Sure.
And this week we just kind of want to breathe and go through some tools. So there's something we've been kind of working on that
you've been putting a lot of work into.
That we kind of pulled some quotes and some information from our last podcast, and just tools to help people that are walking through grief. You know, when I was walking through grief, I wanted something someone could hand to me, a page or a prayer or something that let me know I wasn't alone, and
right.
some tools that I could use through
right.
grief. And I kind of feel like we've made not a perfect book that has all the answers, but a guide,
sure.
A toolkit to let people know that they're really not alone and that there are steps in every phase.
I love that. So to celebrate you a little bit, this is actually something that you had put on a goal list, or what you called your bingo.
Yes.
Your bingo card, things that you wanted to check off for the year. And I've known you for a while to have this dream to be able to create something, a tool. We would call it a book. This is a book / guide. Really a lot of work for you as a participant, because again, we always state we're not the answer. We don't have all the answers. We just want to create a safe space,
right,
and a community for people to find that. So for me personally, when I was working through different levels of these areas that we were talking about, and still work through them, it was not only the grief of the loss, but also kind of feeling the shame, the burnout, the things that came along with that, especially like losing what you felt was your calling and your place in life. That's a big one. We talked about grief not only being a person, but it can be a thing as well, and a part of our life. And so walking away from all that, and having, again, not somewhere that, people will give you this, they want to give you an answer, a quick answer. And from a therapeutic standpoint, if you're not active in discovering that answer, it really, like, we can get all the advice, and we can watch all the clips, and we can, read all the books. And if we're not actively participating in that, the simplest truth will go unrecognized. So I needed that space to just have grace, to be heard, to process, to really work on that. And you directed me to some journaling, and really became a part of my life. And I want to encourage anyone that's kind of listening to this and tuning in. We're really excited about this project.
We are, and journaling can be that safe space where you can be really honest with yourself, with God, with whomever you're angry with life, with where you are. And so within there's lots of space for you to work through your own grief, shame, burnout, whatever it is that you're grieving or going through. There's some life check-in list and toolkits, and a lot of empty space for journaling, and even a couple of pages for you to doodle and draw and just be mad, whatever it is that you need to do. So it definitely has been a labor of love.
And so we're calling this project is called Healing in Ink.
Yes.
So I just want to give you a lot of props and tell you I'm very, very proud of you, and let you know that I am just kind of standing back. You've put so much work into it. I know it's our project, quote unquote, and it's a part of this community, and we want to offer resources that are going to be helpful to people. So we're excited about that. We will actually have our copies soon, and we'll be sharing with them, and then ways that you can get your own copy. And we want to make that accessible to cover some of the costs, but also just to make it a tool that is readily available for people. So each section moves through layers of grief. We talked about that: denial, anger, bargaining. We love that. The depression, and then also finding acceptance, because it's not just moving through grief, but it's also moving through those memories. It's moving through finding meaning and renewal. So that's a really big part of that process. So we got to realize that even when our lives are kind of falling apart, that we still have some things that are working. And those things are to be celebrated and recognized, and you kind of need a space to be able to see like you're making progress. Sometimes when we're in the trenches of these moments, we don't recognize the progress that we've made. And it's just like physically working out. We don't see it in the day to day. And then we run into somebody a couple of months later, and maybe we've been eating better and taking care of ourselves a little better. And they see this radical change that you don't really see because you're doing it day to day. So we want to provide that space so you can also see that progress as you walk through that. So it's a big thing.
So one of the things that you do that is really helps you ground is breath work.
Absolutely.
And something that we've taught the girls, right?
Absolutely.
And their anxieties and panic attacks and things that they walk through is how to adequately do breath work. So I think you're going to lead us through it.
Yeah, let's do that. So we'll work on this, and let me say for all my man friends, really manly guys, this is a technique not only used in like therapy, but it's also in meditative practices. But it's also a spiritual practice. It's also a practice that is used by elite forces throughout the world to calm yourself, recenter yourself. One thing I would say, if you're not able to be in a safe space, like at home or wherever you kind of refuel yourself, and maybe that's your prayer closet that we grew up in the old school church language, but whatever that kind of peaceful sanctuary is for you, if you're not able to be in that, and maybe you're at work and it's really stressful, maybe it's a situation, out and about that you're having maybe some conflict, if you can maybe step away for a little bit and kind of coach yourself like you would want to speak to another friend that was kind of going through that while you're doing breath work. Coach yourself in that moment. Tell yourself it's going to be okay. You're going to make it through this. Ground yourself. Like in a work situation is very stressful. Maybe you don't know the process, that you're being thrown into a new task and there's a lot on you. There's a lot on your shoulders. Coach yourself in that moment. Take the breath work, and as you're doing the breath work, use that moment to just speak kindly to yourself, speak positively. Your actual words have power, and they create or they can destroy. So speak to yourself no matter what the fear is telling you, right? Speak to yourself as if you would want a friend to hear you speak to them. So let's do this. We're going to ground ourselves for a moment. So our feet are firmly on the ground, whatever is a comfortable position for you, but you should be somewhat relaxed. Your shoulders should be somewhat dropped. I'm going to use at the end of this a prompt or a technique that is more grounded in our upbringing. Father Richard Roy has taught this, and so we're going to talk about it in just a moment, but just using the name Yahweh as this prompt towards the end. So we're just going to learn to kind of take a moment to breath work, right? So we're bringing our focus in. We're giving our system, because when we go from fight or flight, no matter what those two reactions are, we stop breathing, right? Studies show that this is not our opinion. This is just science, right? Our nervous system is tensed up. It's ready for something. It's ready for action. Have to defend or we have to get away. And the longer that we're in prolonged stress, the more you'll even notice that you're holding your breath, right? Like you're holding your breath, you're tensed up, you're ready for something. You're ready to either attack or to run from, right? Your body's in that constant state of ready to go, right? To war or to flight. So we have to relax ourselves. So we're relaxing, we're dropping our shoulders. If you need to close your eyes, helpful music is good. You were closing your eyes. You got to close your eyes. Closing my eyes. So closing your eyes, take a moment. I'll just kind of use you as, you'll be the example. Okay. So you'll be the visual example, but peaceful music is good. If worship music puts you in the right space, meditation music, nature sounds. And this is great to practice out in nature. I can't tell you how many times Angelica has made me sit down on the middle of the trail. Close your eyes. Middle of a trail on a side of a hill or a mountain, and we've had to sit down and do this, right? So it's just a moment of gratitude. So what I want us to do is we're going to focus now on our breathing, and we're going to start slowing it down and making it more of a focus. So we're breathing we're going to start with a first inhale, and we're going to take our time with our inhale. So we're going to do on a 3 count. So we're going to go inhale, 1, 2, 3, hold it for 3 counts while I'm talking, and exhale, 1, 2, 3. It's very good if you do it through your nostrils and nose if you can. In, 1, 2, 3, hold, 1, and exhale out the mouth now. All right. So now let's just use some prompts. We're going to inhale peace. We're going to exhale shame. Inhale grace. Exhale tension. And then we're going to do one together. We're going to do it. Father Richard Roy teaches this as a prayerful meditation. We're just going to use the name Yahweh. And our inhale is going to be Yah. Our exhale is going to be Way. All right, we're going to do it together. Yahweh. I wanted to do it. Way. 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 2 more times. Way. Way.
It really just helps you reset.
Yeah.
It helps you. I think it gives you a sense of being present and grateful for the very breath that you have, in allowing you to remove yourself from those really intense emotions.
Yeah.
In the
Sorry,
journal,
I'm getting emotional, y'all.
in the
It's
journal, it's in the anger section.
Yeah.
And it's kind of again in acceptance, because when those emotions are really heavy, when we start to be really angry and grief, it can really tie us up in knots. And this is just one of those practices that are in there, along with rage journaling and punching a pillow, exercising, and then acceptance. We sometimes can feel shame when we start to move into acceptance that we shouldn't be moving on, or we're leaving that part of us or that person or that experience behind. So it's just again another exercise to help you regulate your emotions and be present in where you are. So I'm really excited, and if it helps one person,
that's
then
all.
the labor of love was worth it.
100%. You are now a published author, so
we are published
authors. But I'm very grateful for you, because the truth is that grief and healing from grief really doesn't demand us to be perfect. It doesn't demand perfection from us. It just needs us to show up. And this is a tool that everyone can use just to show up.
Yes.
Right. Again and again and again.
Not focus simply on death.
Right.
We did make sure that we included tools and pages and journaling prompts that can cover the multitude of what you might feel in grief.
And it can be just a phase of life. It can be as simple as a phase of life.
Yes.
So we want you not to feel any shame about using this or having this conversation, to feel like the smallest grief that you're dealing with that you think is inconsiderate, but it's weighing on your heart.
Yeah.
It's meaningful, right? And that matters. So we want you to know that. And it's not just a book that we want you, another thing to buy, but we want it to be a companion for you to be able to walk through these phases and these situations. And again, to self-discover things that you already knew, the wisdom that's maybe already been passed down to you, but you start to implement it, and you start to put language behind it. And then you start to strategize. And it can be one thing. If you picked up one healthy habit out of this process, it's definitely worth that, right?
Absolutely.
So we want to be able to work with you and walk with you, and so that you don't feel alone in this process, right? Again, we are not the answers. We don't have the answers. We're just creating a community that we can have these conversations.
Right, and walk along together. So a few things going forward. One It's going to be available in a couple of days on Amazon. It's direct print, so when you order, it does take a couple of days to come in, but it allows us to do this in a much more conducive way for life for us, for sure. And to get it into people's hands that could really use it on a much faster scale.
Absolutely.
So, and next week, we are going to start walking through burnout.
Yeah, that's
which
a big one.
Can be heavy
Sure.
as well. So we just want to invite you guys to come along to share this with someone who may need it. Be sure to subscribe and send us some love and tell us, what is working for you. What are some of the tools that you use in your grief kit that help you move through your stages or accept what's happened or where you are.
And we'd love once you get that product and that companion, that guide, we would love to hear your feedback.
Absolutely.
For, if it helped in any way.
Mm-hmm.
If you hated it, we're sorry. But
it is
we're
very
hopeful.
minimal cost because I wanted it to be like readily available. I did not jack the price. Like Amazon was like, "Oh, you should charge $24.95," and I was like, "Oh gosh, no, that's ridiculous." So
when we're world-renowned speakers, we can charge $35 for a 10-page,
but not right now. Not right now.
That's never going to happen. Never going to happen.
One of my favorite scriptures that I just kind of want to close with. And it reminds me continually to come back to our place, right? In Ecclesiastes 3:4, when they say, "A time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance," and how true that is in our life and in anyone's life walking through grief or burnout or a hard time or through the healing process for anything. There is a time and a season for everything. And if we honor it, acknowledge it, and walk through it, then, it's the beauty for the ashes.
Right.
And so that's my encouraging word for the day.
Beautiful, beautiful. The promise that Jesus gave us is that we could come to him all that are weary and heavy laden, and we will find rest. So we want to just create that space of rest and grace. So thank you all so much for joining us. If you'd love to, do more breath work together, we'd love to hear only your positive reviews from our tool that we're going to be sending out. But thank you all. Some friends have reached out, folks have reached out and said we're tracking, we're watching. So we're honored. I cannot tell you enough that we're honored you've spent a couple of moments with us in this crazy, chaotic life that we live that's beautiful and tragic and ups and downs and all the good in between. So we love y'all, and like and subscribe, share with your friends.
Have a good day.
Thank you.